Showtime.
Good morning. I'm Vonna Milligan, and I'm your facilitator for this session. This session is on how to deal with employment rejection. How to deal with employment rejection. We've all experienced rejection at some point in our lives. We've all received that Dear John or Dear Jane letter at some point in our lives. And so it is even in the employment process. As we are seeking jobs, at some point, we're going to receive a rejection letter or a rejection telephone call. But there are some things that we can do in preparation for it and how to deal with it. And that's what we're going to share with you today. Just a brief overview on steps that you can take with employment rejection. When you are rejected, oftentimes we'll feel hurt, we'll feel angry, disappointed, and that's okay. But the idea is that we don't stay in that spot, that we move on. We learn from it and we move on. I want you to begin looking at rejection in a positive way. Oftentimes we view rejection in a negative way. But I want today for you to see it differently. Take a different perspective about rejection. We're going to not only take positive steps, but we're going to begin to look at things in a positive perspective concerning rejection. Rejection is a part of any job search. If you apply for a job, at some point, you're going to be rejected. Preparing for the rejection phase of the job search process is often neglected, again, because it's viewed as something negative. But now we're going to take something negative and turn it into a positive. And we're going to look at rejection as a stepping stone to the perfect position. The stepping stone to the perfect position. Every phase of the entire job search experience, including the rejection, should be considered as a productive and positive part of a successful job search. Positive steps that you can take when employment rejection comes. There are some positive steps that you can take. Number one, do not take employment rejection personally. It's just business. Don't take it personal. It's just a matter of business. This is not easy because we're human. We feel hurt. Sometimes we may feel angry, but we cannot take it personally. Filling a job involves finding the best match between the candidate and the company. The person who was given the job was a better match for the company. Just look at it like that. It was just a better match. And so you learn from experience and you move on. Point number 2, telephone rejection. Well, it's got to come one way or the other. They're either going to call you on the phone and tell you that you were not accepted or you were not selected, You were not selected, or they'll send you a letter, okay? How do you deal with the telephone rejection? You want to maintain a confident and an enthusiastic voice. If you're on the phone, that's all they're going to hear. They're not going to see your facial expressions, but it can be conveyed through your voice. So you want to maintain a very enthusiastic voice and your confidence. Never respond with anger. Never, never, never respond with anger because you don't want to burn any bridges. You never want to burn any bridges. It's not a good idea because if you're not selected for this position, there is a good possibility you may be selected for another position. Something else may come open later. And if you have left a negative, if you've left the interview, you've left the telephone conversation in a negative way, guess what's going to happen? They're never going to consider you for another position because the word is going to get out. And so you want to do things in a positive way. Never burn your bridges. Thank the person on the phone. Look, I've been on both sides. I've been the rejectee, and I've been the person who's making the phone call. It's not easy to tell someone you you were not selected. And then to hear, you were not selected. So don't take it out on the person that you're speaking with. Just thank them. You may even use this as an opportunity to ask for feedback. Ask them, if they may or may not have that information. Sometimes they don't want to share. But if they're willing to, then ask them. If they can provide some feedback. What can you do differently? The idea is to present yourself in a positive way. And then finally, the rejection letter. If you receive a rejection letter as opposed to a rejection telephone call, I suggest that you contact the company either through email or by telephone. Sometimes you're not able to get them on the telephone. But you may want to send an email and just thank them, and then later follow up with a formal business letter. Keep it formal. Don't get common. Keep it formal. And then don't allow your feelings of anger or disappointment to show in the letter that you send to them. And then finally, I want you to reflect on the job search process. Think about what you did. What can you do differently? From your development of your resume, how did you interview? Think about it, reflect upon it. And then finally, move on. Move on. Concentrate on moving on. Don't stay in that place of rejection. And if you forget all these things, I suggest that you remember Vonna Milligan's approach to rejection. It's called EARN. E-R-M. Eject rejection, reflect on the process, and move on. And remember, rejection is just a stepping stone to the perfect position. Thank you.